Give me the one thing that you thought A&M did to get in their own way.
Well, there was a punt. I think a punt. The thing that got me toward the end was, they're not making any ground at all, and then they finally get a chance. And was it 4th and 3
It
with
was
the game
short,
on?
yeah.
And I think that's when they kicked the field goal, which got blocked for a touchdown, which came back. Just hey, you got 3 yards and you have a chance to tie the game. Go for it. Don't screw around with that little time left.
Yeah, and look, and I said this on Sunday Bloody Sunday about Alabama. They have, Paul, to me, as we sit here on October 8th, it is crystal clear to me, and it should be to everyone else. Alabama has now figured out who they are. They had an identity crisis the first month of the season because they couldn't figure out quarterback. We knew they could play defense. Offensive line looked a little bit shaky. They now know what Jalen Milroe is as a quarterback. It is frightening now for the rest of the SEC because Alabama, they're going to kill you by 1,000 paper cuts this year because they're not really explosive. And they just went into College Station yesterday, a place they lost the last time they played. And in the second half of that game, handled Texas A&M, who I thought coming in may have been a better team.
Yeah, a lot of people did. And they really won the game, a lot of different ways. Milroe is a tremendous deep threat, but that defense, was unbelievable. And all I heard from the experts I sit with and you sit with every week was how good the other side of the ball was. I mean, I was even hearing from head coaches around the SEC that you can't do it. I mean, nobody can deal with that defensive line. It was actually the other way around. That final drive that were Alabama looked like some of the great defenses of old. The problem with Alabama, though, Matt, is you can never trust them. They will just get in their own way. And this game was a little different than the Ole Miss game because they finally just kind of pulled away from Ole Miss. But no matter what Alabama did, they managed to get the other team back in it. And you look at their schedule and go, well, where else could they trip up? How about anywhere?
Yeah. I mean, look, it was 14-0. They outscored A&M in the third quarter. That was the difference. They come out, it was all A&M in the first half, really. It was 17-10 at the half. They had all the momentum. They turned the ball over. A&M got a turnover on defense, and Max Johnson turned it right back over on an interception. That's kind of when it started changing because Alabama tied it. But again, they outscored them 14-0 in the third, and then there was the old 3-2 fourth quarter, and Alabama gets out of there 26-20. But now when you look at the SEC West, speaking of trust, do you trust Brian Kelly and LSU? I mean, look, credit them. They were down, I think it was 17 points, fourth largest comeback by any Brian Kelly coach team in his career. They got out of Columbia with a win, but that defense still leaves a lot to be desired.
Yeah, I think too many people, were probably watching, OU Texas and saw the score and go, oh, okay. That was a terrifying game, Matt, as you well know. There were times in that game that there was no chance LSU could win, and then it just took a couple of defensive stands, and then it took an utterly bizarre call by Eli Drinkwitz. I think it was 4th and 32.
Punt it. You punt it.
Yeah, and
it worked out for him.
It proved that he made the wrong call because they got the ball back. But they would have been in such a better position and possibly could have won the game. But again, he kind of, that was kind of a karma returned after his boneheaded decision a couple of weeks ago on the 61-yard field goal he got away with. This time he didn't. And Brian Kelly is living on the edge, and I give him credit. That is a great win because their season was over otherwise, and now they can hang on for a while. And I'm not saying they're in it because their defense looked slightly better. But Jaden Daniels, man, he literally, I have rarely seen one guy carry an entire team like that.
And you look at the schedule now, they have Auburn next week at home. They have Army at home. Then they go into the bye week against Alabama, and it's going to all come down to that.
That's the game.
It's going to all come down to that because Ole Miss, do you trust Ole Miss? They no. Almost stubbed their toe against Arkansas. The West, to me, if you're looking at me and you say, Paul, put your career on someone you trust in the West, even Alabama's got trust issues, but I trust them more than anybody.
Yeah, and the real problem for Ole Miss, and I hate to be a schedule wonk, but they have to go to Georgia. I mean, that, you talk about a bad break. I mean, they always, they have Vanderbilt as their permanent until this year, and they could have gotten anybody in the East. And, they could have gotten Florida. They could have gotten South Carolina, Kentucky. You name it. They got Georgia, where they won't win that game.
Light a cigarette just so I can breathe.